All right, guys. So I'm on a little walk. Looks like I'm in the deep woods, but I'm just kind of in town. I still have my gear on, just in case, because I love going off road. I love taking little paths that seem to go nowhere, and they usually lead to somewhere really pretty. So I don't know. We'll see where things go. But anyway, I thought I'd be talking to you while I was walking, just to, I don't know, just felt like it. So, a few things on my mind. If you're one of my clients and I don't know, maybe expected me earlier this week and I didn't show up, well, I'll be there soon. One thing that people don't really talk about a whole lot, especially, I don't have a huge business by any means. I mean, some people have larger businesses than I do, and that's great. But no matter how big or small your business is, when you're fully invested in it, sometimes you wear yourself down. And those who know me know that I work a lot. I love working. It's kind of one of my downfalls, I suppose. I work too much. And so last week, I was looking at my schedule and looked at how I could shift people around and get work done so that it would give me a couple days off, just to be completely off and not have to worry about anything, and give myself a physical and mental break from work. And so I gave myself 3 days off, which is the first 3 days off that I have in a long time. Yeah, because it's been one heck of a year or two. Anyways, so just a sec. All right. So anyway, so yeah, it's the first time that I guess I kind of call it a little mini vacation, but I suppose that's what it kind of is, a little vacation. I didn't go anywhere particularly. I stayed home, saved some money. I kind of wanted to head out somewhere, but I didn't know where, and it would have cost money. So I saved my money. I stayed home. I went for a hike the other day, loved it. That's one of my things that I love to do, is going for walks in the wood. I might look like a city person sometimes, but I'm definitely a country girl. So I love going out into the woods to refresh and recharge, I suppose. So yeah. Anyways, I'm taking you on this walk with me right now. I got a few more things that I'd like to say. I'll wait in a little bit and catch you up on some other stuff. All right. So, exactly what I was saying. I love new territory, so I found a trail to explore. Who knew, right? Anyways, yeah. So, I wanted to talk about a few things since the beginning of the season. Oh, look. Can I turn this around? No, I can't. Oh, look at that. Anybody looking for scrap metal? All right, so I've been wanting to talk about something since, man, there's junk out here, since the beginning of the season. So, here's the thing. All right, so this year, it's been the best year I've ever had so far, which is awesome. And I was able to, or I have been able to, upgrade a lot of my equipment, which is Awesome. I'm going up a hill. I'm out of breath. Anyway, so, this is year, been going on since I started in 2015 with the business when I was in Sussex. And you know what? It wasn't always easy. Still not incredibly easy. I mean, the kind of work I do is hard, no matter how you want to slice it, especially when you don't have the big boy tools like ride-ons and stuff. So I push mow for the most part, and so that's a lot of physical exercise, and my body gets that kind of exercise, and my brain gets all of the other details exercise. So the scheduling, the finances, all of the admin stuff, I do all that by myself. And so I do it all by myself, which is great. I mean, to be able to do it all like that, not everybody can do that. I'm not saying that I'm super at it, but at least I know enough of the basics to be able to manage all of the admin stuff for now, and get all my books in order and everything. So when tax season comes around, everything's all ready, everything's all sorted out, and whoever usually files my taxes is usually pretty happy with handling my business. I've heard horror stories about some business owners just kind of slapping a whole bunch of stuff on a desk, and they let the poor person have to unscramble things and sort things out and everything. But I've got everything super duper in order, which is nice. Anyways, so I didn't always know what I was doing, so I wanted to talk about the beginning of my business, which is kind of funny in a way, because I did not start off very well, and I know people didn't directly tell me to forget about it, drop it, you're an idiot, you're crazy, but I got some messages that were really close to that. But you know what, when you get a vision for something, you gotta just push through the adversity, push through the circumstances, push through all of the nasty stuff. And I'm going to tell you how I started in a minute here or two. But anyway, so funny story. I started dreaming up. Sorry, it's a little wet and mushy. Ew, ew, ew. Ew, ew, ew. All right, no bums were dirtied in the process. Okay, so so I started dreaming up in 2014. Well, was it in 2014? Nope, very early 2015. It must have been. Anyways, I had started a new job selling door-to-door for a certain company in the town of Sussex and the surrounding regions, mostly surrounding regions, because I wasn't selling products that were meant to be sold inside town limits. Anyway, so I in the process of going around door to door, I realized that even though you've lived in an area for so long, you don't always see what's going on. You don't always see some of the conditions that people live in and live through in the area around you. And as I was selling door to door, I ended up seeing a whole lot of people, suffering financially, and I was selling products, right? I was selling stuff And so I was like, I'd get to some places and I was like, I know I'm not making a sale here because it was just obvious that they couldn't afford it. And even if they wanted the product that I was selling, I wasn't sure that I actually wanted to sell it to them because, that wouldn't have been a very smart financial move for people who, couldn't afford it. But anyways, that's kind of situation didn't happen. It was mostly like people saying, no, we can't afford it. And that was that, right? I stuck to my pitch and moved on. But in the process, I cried a lot, leaving some properties, just because I was like, dude, there's a lot of people with a lot of money just down the street. And then you have this person who doesn't even have a door that fits on their, like on actual hinges, right? It's just a door that's bigger than the doorway, kind of blocking the hole where a door should be. And, I don't know if the wind is getting in my microphone here, but anyway. So there were different situations like that. Some places I went to, I didn't even know where to knock because there were so many patches on the shack that this person apparently lived in. I could see tracks. It was in the winter, so I could see tracks going from, footprints from the road going up to the shack. But I didn't even know where to knock. I couldn't even tell what the door was. So those kinds of scenarios were very eye-opening for me. And so I started thinking about, okay, so it just put a huge burden on my heart to be able to, do something in my community that would be helpful for people. And so I started thinking of different things. I was like, okay, so what can I do? What do I have to offer? And I was like, well, I love being outdoors. I've got lots of skills that I can put in place. I grew up mowing grass at our house, and I used to have a summer job, a couple summers, mowing grass at a church and cemetery. And so, I've mowed a lot of grass since I was a kid. And I love it. I love being outdoors. I'm allergic to pollen, but that's just a minor detail. Anyways, so an even lesser, another trail. I have no clue where this goes, but anyways, it's even a trail less used than the other one, so hey, why not? I started thinking up, this is where my ADD becomes apparent, right? Just give me a second here to recoup my thoughts. There you go. I started thinking up stuff and, mowing. I'm really good with fixing things and so I was like, okay, so what can I do? And I was like, okay, well maybe I can offer lawn mowing services or stuff around the house. So I started out with thinking, okay, so I can stack wood, I could pick up leaves, I could mow grass, I forget all that I had on the list, but I had a huge list which was too big to handle. Look at that. I don't know if you can see it, or there you go. Little fire pit. I don't know where I'm heading, but some people knew about this once upon a time. Anyway, so so I started offering a whole bunch of stuff, but before I got there, those are things that I was thinking of. I could do this, I could do that, and whatever. And I thought, what, this is possible. I can, I can do this, and I wanted to do it at a price that people can afford. Because, especially where I was at the time, there were a lot of landscapers and stuff like that who would offer those services, but unfortunately, some of the seniors, especially seniors and disabled people, couldn't afford the services, right? They were retired, they have fixed income, and a lot of people think, hey, you're retired, you got lots of money, but that's not always the case. And some of them, a variety of different people take advantage of seniors, and that just breaks my heart. They paved the way for us. We should treat them with utmost respect and be there to help them and care for them when we can, right? So I was like, okay, so my main target were seniors, people on fixed income, basically anybody who couldn't afford paying some of the big boys to do the work, that I would do it for them and do it at a price that they can afford. And I had my rate scale and stuff, and it worked out. But oh, look at that. I don't know if somebody hunts here or if it was part of a treehouse or the start of one once upon a time, but oh look, there's arrows. Well, so anyway, adventure time. So that was the idea that I had, and I was like, okay, so now I need to find a name, and I had a lot of fun, for those of you who know me, like my brain just goes nonstop, and I started thinking, word playing and different things like that. So I ended up with my business name, which holds the philosophy of the business within its name. So Parkour Services stands for everybody deserves to live on par by meeting their core needs. Because one of the things that I had noticed with, selling door to door for the company I was working for, I noticed that a lot of people couldn't go. They had to choose, right? Do I choose to pay my bills? Do I choose to fix my door? Do I choose food? And for me, the decent thing to do, and basically the rights that all humans should have, is to at least go with the basics and have the basics that we need. So food, shelter, water. And I was like, okay, well, some people have to pick and choose. And you know what? I've been in situations when I was very close to being homeless. Oops, slipped. And I had to pick and choose for years and years of my life, on a very strict budget on food. And I'm thankful that I had people in my life that would invite me for supper or whatever often, because then I would eat their food and not mine. So thanks. But anyways, I know what it's like to live on a tight budget, and I've seen other people struggle through different things, and I was like, you know what, it's not right. Something needs to be done, and I'm not rich. I don't have all the money in the world. I can't just give out money to people to help them out with their situation, but I can offer myself and my services to do something about it. So I thought of a name, Parkour Services, and then I put a little brief explanation together, and that particular winter I was actually playing hockey with some other ladies in town, and one of my teammates was a lawyer. Sorry, I just heard something rustle in the woods. That sounded a little harsh, but I'll just stay here for a second. So, so she was a lawyer, and I was like, okay, so I contacted her, and I was like, I'd like to start a business, and this is the name, and I gave her a few options because I knew you had to come up with a couple options, and just in case the first one didn't work out. There's a little bird there. Anyway, so yeah, I don't get spooked very easily in the woods, but if I do hear something, I kind of stop and wait to see if I can figure out what it is, but it might have just been little birds being noisy. I could be getting close to a nest or something. Anyways, I see houses there, so I'm not that far in the woods. I don't know where I am, but I see houses. So yeah, so I contacted my lawyer friend. I was like, okay, so this here's what I want. Here's the business names. I prefer Parkour Services, but if you can't have that one, here are other options. And oh, this leads right to somebody's house. Never mind. I'm gonna turn back. So yeah, so I gave her the options. I gave her the description. So it was a business that offers small job services around the yard or around the house, properties. I had painting. I did some painting when I first started. I love it, but I just don't have time to stick that into with everything else that I do, because I am really busy when I get going with the yard stuff, which is great. Anyway, so I gave her a description, and then I had, I was a student at this time, so at university, working on my master's degree, and I was like, okay, well, I don't have money, but I did have a second car. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to sell this little car, and whatever I make with the car, I'm going to pay for the business for it, the business name and registration and stuff, because I knew going through a lawyer, I wanted everything. I had no idea what I was doing, so I would rather have somebody who knew what they were doing do it and pay them for it, than to try to do something and it not work out. And so I went that route, and anyway, she came back to me. She was like, okay, here's your business number, here's the name, everything worked out, blah, 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 registered. And I just so happened to sell the car for the exact amount of money it cost to pay for the registration of the company. So I remember getting the paperwork, and I was like driving on my way home, and I was like, oh my goodness, I own a business. I just, woo! All right, now what do I do? Because I have no idea what I'm doing. I just had this, passion, this burning desire in my heart to do something about what was going on in my area, and I had this all buzzing in my mind, and I thought, okay, well, I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no equipment. I got nothing. But let's go. So this was, I think I was registered late February. So I still had a couple months to figure things out as far as equipment goes. And so here's the fun part, or the part where a lot of people might have gotten discouraged. And I just kept pulling through because, I'm stubborn or persistent. So I went on Kijiji, and Kijiji was hot at the time. We didn't have Facebook Market. So I went on there and found a little Cub Cadet push mower for sale, and it was for sale at a good price, something I could afford. So I scratched pretty much every dollar I had, but I got it because I was like, I got to start with something, and so I got the mower, and it seemed to work fine. So that was that. And then I went looking for a trimmer, and I got me a trimmer for decent price. Forget what kind it was, but I got it, and it worked fine at the time. And then I needed a vehicle because my car was a Cobalt Sport. I could not fit a mower in that little car, so I needed an alternative mode of transportation. Oops, just one sec. We'll call some other time. Mama, you're calling, I know, but I'm in the middle of a video. I'll call you later. So, I needed a vehicle. And I didn't want to put a trailer hitch on the car because, it was a cute sports car, right? So I didn't want to put a hitch on it. So some very special people in my life, you know who you are, helped me buy a bigger vehicle so I could use for the business and get started. And so I got it. So I was all set. I thought it was awesome. It was cool. I had, the beginnings of tools, and I bought a couple things at Canadian Tire and whatnot, like just little hand tools to cut stuff and whatever. So I had it was a Buick Rendezvous. So a bit of an SUV, big enough to put my lawnmower in, my trimmer in, and all my tools. And I had built shelving in it so I could store my stuff and whatever. But here is where things started falling apart, where maybe a lot of people would have decided to go, screw this, I'm out. Right. So first thing that went, and I was just getting started, but my trimmer stopped working. And I couldn't afford to take it to the shop and have it fixed. And so I had somebody dear to me decided that they were like, hey, you know what, you can borrow mine until you can get another one or get that one fixed. So I was borrowing a trimmer from somebody. And then shortly after, and this all happened pretty much at the same time, right? So I say, after, but it's pretty much kind of at the same time. So shortly after, my mower broke. And I took it to the shop to get it fixed. And they couldn't, I think there's a four-wheeler coming this way maybe. Nope, it's on the road. So, so I took it to the shop. They couldn't figure out how to fix it, and they didn't know how long it was going to take, and blah, blah, blah. So I was without a mower, and I couldn't buy another one. So again, I had dear people in my life who let me borrow their mower. And then my van broke down, so I was on foot. So I needed somebody to drive me and my borrowed stuff to my job sites so that I could mow grass for my clients. Did I feel small and helpless? I did. But I was determined to make it work. So finally, eventually, a friend of mine, we got together and we figured out what was wrong with my van, because again, I couldn't afford to get it towed and take it to the garage, so to get it fixed. So yeah, I was very, very poor. Didn't I mention that? Yes, I did. Okay. And still a student on top of that. But anyway, so we figured out how to fix my van, and got her on the road. So I was good with that. And then eventually, shortly after, I was able to buy a mower. I went on the cheap end, and unfortunately, the mower that I bought wasn't going to cut it. It wasn't strong enough to do what I needed it to do with the business. So I ended up giving it to my dad, and I bought another one, which is one that I still have to this day. Little mower just will not die. It's amazing. Anyway, I bought that mower, and been doing business with, I mean, I've bought other ones that I use for the business now, but this was not a self-propelled mower, just a regular push mower. And going this way. It was just a regular push mower, but it did the job. That's what I used for the rest of the first season. And that worked well. And I also was able to buy a trimmer, a brand new trimmer. It was on the cheap end, but that darn thing is still working today. And I was using it up until the beginning of this year. You know, this was 2015, we're now 2021. And that thing, I was, you know, used quite well, and it still works. And I probably bought it new for like 80 some bucks. Anyway, so, and the only reason I mean, it's a spare now, but the only reason I bought another one was because I bought a new trimmer with attachments so I could expand my business. And boy, it worked. This year's been a busy year. So anyway, so that's how I started my first year. Broke, a student, and everything I put my hands on and tried during the first couple months failed. And you know, I learned a lot of hard lessons too that first year because, you know, like I said earlier, I started out too broad, and unfortunately I wasn't able to get to everybody that I wanted to. And you know, you learn a lot of lessons when you're in business, especially in your first couple of years, and especially if you've never done anything like it, or you know, you've never been in business. And so yeah, there's lots of things that you learn along the way. But you know, lessons were learned, and I moved on. I came out stronger in the other end. I went for my second year after that. I bought a self-propelled mower, and unfortunately my van did not make it for the second year, and I actually did end up having to put a trailer hitch on my little sports car, and haul my stuff with my little car, which was, you know, it was kind of funny because people knew who I was in town, and they see me go by with my little car and my big trailer with my stuff on it, and they'd be like, "Oh, there goes Lisa." I was easy to spot. It was kind of like my marketing tool, I suppose, at the same time. And but yeah, my car was like my little truck. I called it my big red beast when it had the trailer on it. Anyway, so you know, all that to say, if you've got something on your mind, if you've got big dreams, if something lays heavy on your heart, you know, don't hesitate to put something together. Go get help. Talk to people around you. Go for it. Just go for it. And even though all else fails when you start out, just keep going, right? Like here I am. I mean, granted, there were a couple of years in between that I didn't do anything with the business. I moved outside of the province. Was doing something else. And I didn't have time to do anything with the business. So, I mean, that was that. But when I came back and started up again in this area in Grand Falls, which is where I'm from, you know, started out with I think it was 7 clients my first year, which is really good. Which, you know, 7 is really great for a first year. And I'd been out of town for like 12 years, and coming back and getting those clients, that was awesome. And then I expanded last year. I got more clients, and this year was just boom. I think I'm up to 17 regular clients that I mow regularly for, and some other ones on top of that I do odd jobs for in the spring or fall. Just some cleanup and stuff, or other things, and so that's, you know, that's huge. I mean, it's not huge in comparison to some of the big boys, but for somebody who only has a push mower and no money, you know, I think I did really well. I consider my story a success, even though for somebody else, the amount of money I make in an entire season is pocket change for them. That's okay. That's okay. I'll keep going. I'll keep pushing and keep growing. This year has proven to be a year of growth, which is awesome. And fortunately enough, this year, this is pretty much all I'm doing in the summertime. I don't have to work another job. I was able to, arrange things so that I can just focus on the business and help it grow this summer, and it's worked. Yeah, like I said, it's been the best year so far, and I have upgraded my machinery. I've bought, again this year, I've had machinery break down on me. I bought a trimmer with attachments. It broke down, but this time, unlike the other time, I was able to just go to the store right away and get another one, replace it, and wait for that one to be fixed at the shop. Something I could not do on my first year in business, but I could do without a single thought this year, which is amazing. And then I bought a piece of machinery over the winter, which if you look at my Facebook page or YouTube, you can see, a little Yard Boss from Still. I've used it quite a bit this spring to till, to clean yards, to, get stuff done, and that was amazing. It pretty much paid itself off that way. And I'm out in civilization again. And and then just recently I bought myself, it's a walk behind mower. It's nothing extra fancy, right? I still have to turn it by manually, but it's got a 33-inch cut to it versus my 21-inch cut mower. And so I call it my big boy. And so now, I haul my stuff with the trailer, with a minivan, which I was blessed with, that my grandparents gave me, so I could do stuff with my business a little easier than with my little Cobalt. And I love that little, I call it my Big Bertha. So yeah, all my vehicles have names. So anyway, my Big Bertha has shelves in it, and I've got all my tools in it, and then I store, I put my mower in there. If I'm just using my small mower, I just go with the van. If I'm using my big boy mower, then I hook the trailer on and off I go with my big boy mower, which I'm still learning how to use because it's that new to me. But anyways, again, I was blessed to be able to get that this year and upgrade, and hopefully soon enough I'll be able to upgrade to bigger toys to help me do more and continue to grow. So anyway, just wanted to share that with you guys as I was walking around. Yeah, now I need to call my mama. Bye.